And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush and
And Mama
Mama.
Rush.
We're thankful to have everyone back here. We have 12.5 million viewers and listeners in 35 countries and 390 cities around the world. So we are very thankful that our show is a huge hit. Today we have a friend of mine on here from you. I first met her at UCLA. That's Dr. Alyssa Gaiser, who is going to be on here. She is I'm going to read off the sheet paper here real quick. But she had her undergrad at UCLA chemistry and math, and then she went on to FSU where she received her PhD in chemistry. Then she went to Lawrence Berkeley National Lab postdoctoral associate focused on radiochemistry. And then now she's at Michigan State as an assistant professor. One of the things I love about Alyssa is the fact that when I first met her and got to know her, she told me about how she was going to go on to do this kind of thing. So I'm proud of her for following her dreams and following her goals. And now she's a doctor. So it's proof that if you work hard, you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. So we will have her on here in just a few minutes. And I'm going to pause it right now until she gets here. Resume. So make sure that's recording and we will emit. Let's see here. She should be popping up any second now.
Okie doke.
Alyssa AG.
What's up, B?
How are you? I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Great. Hi, Mama Rush.
Hey there. How are you, Alyssa?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here, y'all.
Yeah, we're glad. Oh, you're saying y'all now.
I'm
I
saying
like
y'all today. That's the right answer.
Yeah. Well, Alyssa, you look absolutely beautiful. So.
Oh, thanks. Right back at you. I like the scarf. I remember that.
Yeah, it's my style.
Yeah.
I'm not changing. But and I like your office background too.
Thank you. It needed some color, so I found some rainbow periodic tables.
Okay. Well, you've always been good at designing. I know from the past. But yeah, you have good stuff.
Yeah.
So, AG, it is all Dr. Alyssa Gaiser. It is all about you today. Your story. We're happy to have you on. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on the show. And I'm sorry about the time this morning because I thought you were in California. I was mixing Berkeley and Michigan up.
Yeah, no worries. And Michigan's Eastern time zone. I was so surprised when I learned that.
Really? It's not Midwest with that? Midwestern?
Central, right?
Central. Thank you.
Yeah. It's actually like right above Florida.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll take that then. Well, Alyssa, tell us, I gave kind of my background on you, but will you kind of tell us, we're going to get everything, but let's start with what you do today and how you ended up going into a career in radiochemistry and explain to the kindergartners that might be looking at this or fifth graders, what exactly a radiochemist does, if I said that right.
Absolutely. So I'm basically just a standard chemist. So I do chemistry, but it just happens to be with radioactive material. So a lot of the reason that we do the research that I do is to try to help treat cancer with radioactive material.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty badass. So, I don't know, within my life, I've always been drawn towards chemistry classes. I majored in chemistry for undergrad, and always knew that I wanted to help treat cancer, but didn't really know how, and ended up realizing that I was really good at inorganic chemistry, so chemistry with metals, and then really wanted to find application for that within the cancer region. And one of the ways that we do that nowadays is with radioactive materials. So there's only a few elements and isotopes that we currently use for treating cancer, but everything that's radioactive decays in a different way.
Really?
So it gives off different energy and different particles. And what my research is trying to do is kind of expand the library of different elements and isotopes that we can use to treat cancer.
Okay.
So yeah, since every cancer is different, we can then go in and kind of pick out exactly what radionuclide or isotope is going to be best at treating your cancer. So we're trying to expand the library of options.
Okay. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And what kind of sent you down? I mean, I guess what kind of sent you down that path of wanting to do that? Like you kind of said it just then, but is there anything specific? Or I mean, I love the fact that you're working with cancer patients, obviously, because my history with it. But I think that's very commendable what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was always drawn towards chemistry, and kind of just kept asking questions. So in my undergrad, I felt like my classes were really focused on organic chemistry. And honestly, I did not like organic chemistry at all. And we had about 2 inorganic classes, and that's where I felt like I was really vibing.
Yeah.
And no one really told me a lot about the options. So when I was a senior, so the last year of undergrad, one of my friends was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do after you graduate?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I have no idea. Like, I feel like I don't know enough to go into the workforce. Like, I really wish I could know more."
Yeah.
And my friend Jesse was like, "Dude, have you heard of grad school?" And I was like, "No way, I can keep going to school." And she was like, "Yeah, and I hear they pay you." So I was like, "Okay, perfect. Like, I'm not gonna have any student debt like
Yeah.
added on." And it was great. So I applied to grad school and ended up going to Florida State, where I really knew that I loved inorganic chemistry and wanted to pursue that, but didn't know exactly what niche. And I started talking to this professor who did research, and he did research with radioactive stuff.
Okay.
So that's basically so on the periodic table, there's 2 rows at the very bottom, not attached to the rest of the periodic table. Those
Yeah.
are your lanthanides and actinides. So the lanthanides are not radioactive except one.
Okay.
And they're basically why we have modern technology today. So like
Really?
there's 9 of them in your cell phone, and we would not be where we are technologically without these elements. Like
Yeah.
they're really, really important. And then below those are the actinides. So the ones that most people are most familiar with are probably going to be like uranium and plutonium,
Yeah.
like we've heard of those. But the rest of them are also very exciting and have cool chemistries that are really understudied because, again, technology has progressed a lot lately. So we've finally
Yeah.
been able to work with these dangerous things in a safe way and be able to harness their danger for productive things like treating cancer.
Okay.
So talking to this professor, I was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, your research sounds so awesome and I would love to do it, but like I need you to know that I don't really have much experience in this part of the periodic table and I haven't really seen anything about the F elements." And he was like, "You know what? The fact that you're interested is all that you need."
Yeah.
And essentially got a PhD in that. And then after a PhD, so during graduate school, you basically specialize in doing chemistry in my case. So if it was
Okay.
bio, you'd specialize in doing biology. And then you're also specializing with the person that you're working with. So in my PhD, I essentially learned how to do chemistry,
Yeah.
but also the specialty of my advisor. So a lot of times people want more specialties before they
Mhm.
go into the workforce, and that's often why you do a postdoctoral position.
Okay.
So I wanted a little more cancer focus, so that's why I went to do a postdoc at Berkeley with Rebecca Abergel.
Holy
Oh, great.
smokes. Jesus,
Well,
Lisa.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your dissertation on?
What was the name of it? I should have it somewhere.
That's quite all right.
It was on exploring unique bonding in the F block. So
Uh,
I made the 6th ever published Berkeleum crystal structure.
wow.
And it showed some really cool character that we weren't necessarily expecting. And it's kind of helped forging the pathway of showing that actinides have more covalent character than the lanthanides do. Do you
Hmm.
remember in like elementary school chemistry, there's ionic bonding and covalent bonding? Covalent is like sharing electrons, and ionic is when one atom takes an electron and then they're both
Yeah.
charged and they attract each other.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
generally, the lanthanides and actinides are assumed to have like pure ionic bonds, but showing that they can have some covalent character kind of changes the way we do chemistry with them, and that's something that we
Mm.
helped show.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Nice. Listen, one thing I had to say real quick because I completely forgot. Welcome to the Buckle Up podcast.
And when she started talking, I'm sorry about that. I was just so fascinated
No,
with everything in her office and Alyssa. And so with that, we usually say that in the beginning. But anyway, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, continue,
Welcome.
Alyssa. You're good. We're loving it. We're absolutely loving it. I do have one question though. I like not a question. I wanted to say, because I don't want to scoot over this. You went to UCLA, and
Yes.
UCLA is one of the hardest schools in the nation to get into, especially with the California schools. If you wouldn't mind, because one of the things we also do with this, and I will get back to your radiochemistry because you're knocking out the ballpark, is I want to help out kids with trying to figure out their path and what they want to do. Will you kind of explain what made you choose UCLA? The UCLA program is a lot harder. Did you go to junior college first? Or you went straight into UCLA?
I went straight into
Holy
UCLA.
smokes. So yeah, were you the top of your class, or you had to like up there, I guess?
Towards the top, yeah. I was okay.
Okay. So what made you decide on, I guess, UCLA? Is that one of the only schools you chose, or was your?
I applied to a bunch of places. If I remember correctly, applying to the California schools was close to, if not free, for California residents.
Really?
My advice to all middle schoolers, high
Yeah.
schoolers thinking about applying to college is just follow what interests you. And don't be afraid to pursue it.
Yeah.
I sometimes joke that I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I have like a full-blown career at this point.
Yeah.
And being open to opportunity is so important. I think if you have a plan and you know what you want to do with your whole life, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's where most people are.
Yeah.
In fact, many of the students in my research group are getting PhDs in radiochemistry. They still
Mm-hmm.
don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that leaves you so much more open for opportunity and
Mm-hmm.
different options that pop up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And just exploring everything that you can is super, super important to finding who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And for anyone who thinks they have their whole life planned out, like I certainly knew people in middle school and high school that were like, I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and now they're doing that and they're loving it. But
Yeah.
there's also people who had those big dreams and career paths and they've completely pivoted and been so happy.
Yeah.
Um, so really finding the things that make you happy. I know the cliche of like do something that you love and you won't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
It's kind of true.
It is. It's very.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, Alyssa, that's absolutely amazing. From you then switching, one thing I think that everyone should do is I think every person from the East Coast should go to the West to see how the West lives. Obviously, not big on being East Coast
Yes.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that every person from out West should go out East. And so I
Mhm.
appreciate you for going to FSU. What was, and you've done Midwest, you've knocked out two here, but what
Yeah.
was it like going to FSU? And how was like FSU, like even applying to
Mhm.
the process of you applying from undergrad to
Mhm.
PhD, the
Grad
PhD.
school.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got
Master's
you.
in nutrition.
Yeah. You saw me
It's
struggling.
actually super similar for high school to undergrad, for undergrad to grad. So for high school to undergrad, you're taking the SAT. Do they
Yeah.
still do that? I think so.
I think
Or
so.
the
Yeah.
ACT.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still take that.
For okay, awesome. So they basically have the same type of test. It's obviously a little more advanced, but they have a GRE. That's essentially equivalent to the SAT. I believe they're phasing it out. I have a hot take on standardized testing.
Oh, let's hear it.
So I think that we have been finding that students don't all test well. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really not, yeah, it's not always a good metric. I mean, I'm really lucky that I do test well.
Yeah.
Something
Mm-hmm.
about the ADHD and like locking in just clicks for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a really good test score on an SAT or a GRE does show some smarts,
Yeah.
but I think a poor test score is more so inconclusive than anything else. Because it either
Yeah.
shows that like maybe you don't really know or
Yeah.
that you're just a bad test taker.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So getting good grades can show hard work,
Mm-hmm.
and really developing relationships with your high school teachers, undergrad, grad, wherever you are. You pretty much always need letters of rec.
Yeah.
One of the things that I stress to my students all the time is networking and like make friends wherever you go. Like
Yeah.
me, I
Mm-hmm.
met you how many years ago, and
Yeah.
we are in very different life paths, but
But
we're
still,
still overlapping, and
yeah,
the
Mm-hmm.
networking and friendship is so important.
it is 10 years ago to be specific. Actually, no, 11. 2014, I think. 2014, 2015.
Oh no, we're so old.
No, I'm still young at heart. I'm still a Toys R Us kid, and that's no longer
Yeah.
around. But yeah.
Well, that was that. You know what, Lisa, what you just said was a great piece of information for high school students to know, those who do well in high school, and they're maybe phasing out testing, because I always thought testing was skewed in a way,
It
based on,
is.
yeah, because you could be exposed to so much. And I know the example they used to give, and this was long years ago, they've changed that, where this one kid, only thing of color, only thing he would see bananas. This was long, like I said, long years ago. See bananas, and he said, "What color would you choose for the banana?" And he chose brown. And then the score said, "No, that's not right, yellow." But the reason he chose brown, or she chose brown in that particular situation, is because those are the only color bananas they ever received. And so he naturally, or she naturally, thought that was the color of bananas. So you can see exposure. That doesn't mean you don't know the info, you don't know what that is. It's just you don't have never seen that. And so it's just most interesting, that I'm glad that someone's looking at it now. And I think with all that cheating that went on with testing, they found that some kids weren't actually taking the test, others were taking the test for them. And so now I think schoolwork, hard work in school is a great measure of where one will do well in maybe in college as well. So I just want to make that statement. But one question I need to ask, radiochemistry, is that a new field? Because we've heard about radiology, like x-rays, MRIs, but when it comes to radiochemistry, that study versus radioactive, or tell us something. I just need to know that.
I do too, Alyssa.
Yeah, so it probably is. It's definitely an older field, but we're starting to talk about it more. So have you heard of like
Uh-huh.
nuclear chemistry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a subfield of nuclear chemistry in a way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
AG, I had a question for you too. What are some misconceptions that you think maybe people have about radiology, radioactive stuff, or radiology,
Gotcha.
both of them?
For sure. So I definitely don't know anything about radiology.
Okay, yeah,
That
I
is
mean
totally
radioactive
out of
material.
my
I'm
field.
sorry. Yeah.
No, 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 don't be sorry. You're perfect. So radiochemistry, I think most people assume that it's very, very dangerous. Um, which, yes, it can be if you do it poorly. So I
Mm-hmm.
personally argue that radiochemistry is the safest chemistry that you can do
Mm-hmm.
because I can detect every atom of what I work with. So we have different detectors that we can hold up and we'll hear the clicks. And if it clicks in a way that it's radioactive, like there's no doubt in your mind.
Mm.
But other researches where you're
Mm-hmm.
working with something that's biouptakeable and you can't detect it. So like people who are doing various like cancer treatment drugs,
Mm-hmm.
um, or just biological stuff, they can inhale it or accidentally get it in their system and have no idea.
Really?
Um, Whereas we can quite literally detect every atom that we work with, which in my opinion makes it very, very safe because we know where it is at all times. It's just the training on learning where to look
Yeah.
Mm.
is most important.
Okay. I actually had another one too, and so I'm gonna use this as an example. I watched a series on HBO. What is it about? That nuclear power
No.
plant that went off in Ukraine. Was it
One
Ukraine
was in
or Russia?
Russia. Russia,
Russia.
Russia, someplace
Yeah.
in
So
Russia. Uh-huh.
with that kind of stuff, Alyssa, I'm trying to word my question correctly here. How is it with detecting somebody or knowing? Would potentially
How
with a
much
person in your
exposure?
field? Yes, ma'am. Exposure is one of them. Thank you, mom. You see me struggling over here. Exposure, knowing how much exposure a person can get one day, or just being able to, or would people in your field potentially work in that area as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
or nuclear fallout too. It's a bunch. I'm hitting you with a bunch of stuff there.
Yes. So that's also some of the research that we're really
Perfect.
interested in is like environmental remediation.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get dangerous radioactive material out of the earth. We actually are collaborating right now with the State Department in Michigan to get radium out of the dirt.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's all these old like oil processing plants, and naturally where the oil is in the earth also has a lot of radium, uranium, and thorium. And
Uh-huh.
most of these plants have removed the uranium and thorium, but a couple of them have had spills of the radium that they've consolidated back into the earth. So
Okay.
we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to work with the state to help get that radium back out
Oh.
How's
so
that
that they
working out for
can.
you? Yeah.
It's going slowly. We collected our first dirt samples this summer.
Okay.
And right now we're working on getting them into our lab space.
Hmm.
So I'm
Mm.
ending my third year as an assistant professor, about to start my fourth, which is not a lot of
Congratulations.
research time.
Oh, wow.
So it's really a project that we're just getting up and running right now, but we're really excited and have a good game plan for when we do get the dirt in our lab space.
Oh yeah, well,
Um,
that's good. I mean, that's
yeah.
with your game plan. Is it like, hey, this is going to be over? Let's say hypothetically, let's say if they approve it, I'll be the thing. 5 years, 10 years. How long would that
Oh,
process potentially take?
that's a really good question, and you
Okay.
kind of never know.
Mhm.
So probably 5 to 10 year scale is about accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the radium in dirt is radium sulfate, which we know to be very, very insoluble and difficult to deal with. Most of the research done on radium sulfates in the past was in about the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
So radium research period is seeing a resurgence right now, which we're really excited about,
Yeah.
in part because of the Xofigo treatment, which is for bone metastasized cancers.
Oh.
Radium is really, really good at treating cancer. So like I mentioned previously, everything that's radioactive decays in a different way
Yeah.
with different
Uh-huh.
energies. Radium decays in a way that's really, really good for treating cancer.
Oh,
The
okay.
problem is, and it's used for bones because the alkaline earth column has calcium in it. And where does calcium go in your body?
In your
I assume
bones.
your bones,
To
right?
your bones. Perfect.
Yes.
So radium, just like calcium, naturally goes to your bones.
Mhm.
Cancer cells divide more rapidly than normal healthy tissue, which means they also take on resources more rapidly. So if you inject someone with radium who has bone metastasized cancers, that bone metastases will take on the radium really quickly and it
Oh,
will kill off the cancer really nicely.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
excellent.
badass, right?
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
excellent science. Hey,
Yeah.
ooh, Alyssa, a question with that. I'm just looking at all you're talking about, and I almost lost my thought on it because I got caught up in that cancer part of it.
Yeah,
I want to add for you to explain to the audience. This is not the question I had, but explain to the audience how important it is for this type of research to be funded. Now I'm coming into my question, to be
Oh,
funded.
thank you.
And do you have any concerns moving forward, because you say maybe 5, 10 years, with that research and the funding that will help continue that research? That's it. That's the question I have.
Thank you. Not to get political,
Yeah, we don't do that
but
here.
It's all you talk. You're fine. Talk freely.
But talk about it.
yes, the current funding climate has certainly changed in the past year, and it's something that I believe all of us research professors are very cautious about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for instance, I've talked about environmental impacts of my research and also the more cancer biological impacts. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money being pulled away from that right now,
Oh, wow.
which is very, very dangerous because a lot of the cancer researchers are more of the bio people and they have
Mm-hmm.
these cell lines and like biology things that they kind
Yes.
of have to feed and upkeep. And with that
Mm-hmm.
funding pulling away, they're going to have to kind of kill off a lot of their research that has taken decades to grow.
Mm.
So personally, my research is not really affected by that kind of a time scale because we're more looking into the fundamental characters of these elements so that we can implement them into these spaces. But certainly my collaborators who do the cell line works are very, very worried about everything coming down the pipeline right now and the availability of funding. I am certainly putting different wrapping paper on a lot of my environmental impact research. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of reasons that we want to entrap radium to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And most people aren't as worried about the radium in the dirt right now as they used to be.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's some traction on radium in drinking water. So the limit of radium in your drinking water, and again, it goes to your bones,
Mm-hmm.
healthy, unhealthy, whatever.
Yeah.
That limit was set in 1976 by the EPA, and it was set solely based on how much money it costs to remove radium from your drinking water.
Wow. You
Oh.
gotta be kidding.
Bananas, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
Beyond.
filters we use right now kind of catch all of the everything in water. So like the calcium, the magnesium, sorry, I have a periodic table back
No,
here.
you'll use it.
Barium, potassium, sodium, like all of it. And that ends up clogging your filter. And these are things that we are totally okay to be drinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the radium can go through. So part of my research is also trying to design in the selectively grabbing radium, something that could be used to filter water for safer water sources all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Good. That's great to know. How, what kind of protection do you use in the lab to limit your exposure?
So oftentimes my students will spend somewhere between 1 to 2, even up to 3 years optimizing an experiment with something non-radioactive before we
Okay.
implement the radioactive source. So it's almost like a play where you have rehearsal, 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 and then when it's
Mm-hmm.
time to do it live, like everyone needs to be ready to go. And if something goes wrong, you need plan B, C, D, E, F, all the way through like
Okay.
AAA.
Okay.
On top of that, we always work in pairs. So no one is ever doing radioactive work alone. That's
Oh,
it's very strictly forbidden in my
Oh.
lab.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're always using that detection equipment. So we have the second person, we call them the cold hands. So the hot hands is the radioactive one,
Okay.
and the cold hands is like the non-radioactive helper. The cold hands has a detector up that tells you the live dose. So every time our radioactive material is moved somewhere, we're making sure that everything is shielded appropriately. We have lead bricks that we move around a lot. Depending on the radioactive decay, we use different shielding mechanisms. But there's two main things that we think about. So ALARA, as low as reasonably achievable, is something that we always have on top of mind because we want to keep our dose as low as reasonably achievable. Also time distance shielding. So we want to minimize the time that we're working with these things because again, radioactive. Distance, we want to make sure we're as far away as possible. So it's very common for the cold hands to be like, hey, could you like extend your arms a little more to be further away, and kind of checking in with someone that way, and shielding. So again, with that lead, to make sure. And to your question previously about the dose that we get, as a radiation worker, pretty much everywhere I've worked, you're allowed 500 millirem. And to contextualize that a little bit, your average dose living in Michigan is about 300 millirem per year just from cosmic rays, things like that. Altitude will actually increase your background radiation. So someone living in Colorado is going to get 800 millirem per year.
Okay.
So if we were maxing out our dose per year, that 300 plus 500, we would be getting exactly what someone who just lives in Colorado year round gets.
Go ahead, Mom.
Okay.
Actually, listen, I'm a little special here, and I'm not really good at math.
No, Brent, that's quite all right. You're not special.
3 plus 5 is 8.
You're exceptional, Brandon. You're exceptional.
Thank you, Mom. Alyssa, I was never the best in school, so we're gonna break it down right here.
Yes.
So were you saying that? I'm sorry, you said that 500 is for what you guys are allowed, right, in your laboratory?
Yes. So we have something called a dosimeter, dose meter, essentially, that checks the radioactive dose we get.
Okay. And then, sorry, Alyssa, go ahead. No.
Oh, so that gets checked every month.
Okay.
And we get a report back. So it's very rare for us to get more than like 10 millirem. And again, the annual dose each of us is allowed as a radiation worker is 500. So I've never heard of anyone dosing out, is what we call it. But I have worked in the past where one month I got 70 millirem because I was doing a lot of work. And then I had a chat with our radiation safety person and the rest of the group, and was like, okay, we need someone to like step up and like learn how to do this thing that I was doing so that the dose could kind of be equilibrated between the people.
Okay. And then thank you, Alyssa, for breaking that down for me. The second part of that was, you said in Colorado that's where I got a little lost, was that they have 800. Is that right? So
yes, just from the altitude, because the closer you are to the sun,
boom, you're breaking it down like a kindergartner, and that's what my desk was always right next to the teacher. So
beautiful.
But I just got it there. Thank you.
So like pilots get a lot of dose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're that high. No, you broke it down. That's all. You broke it down for me. That's exactly where I was lost, because I was trying to figure out, not making sense. But then the altitude. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The dosimeter you just mentioned, is that that little gadget we see when we go in for MRI or X-ray, whatever, and I see a nurse and she has this little gadget on her clothes?
Probably.
Is that a measurement tool?
I would believe so. It's not coming to my mind right away what that looks like. You know the lead vest they put on you?
Yes.
So occasionally we will wear those. In other places I've worked, there's kind of a push in the community to do a better job of shielding the material from you as opposed to you from the material. So we're not using those as frequently nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, Alyssa, I had a question along this too. Actually, it's a double one, and I know it might be kind of off the wall here, but I was thinking, because you mentioned pilots getting more, you said the word and I forgot. Dose, thank you. Yeah, with them getting more dose. How would that work with, for instance, let's say with nuclear weapons, if we can bring this into play here? If someone is with those bombs, let's say with the atomic bomb, for instance, that went off. I believe they said it went off in the air before it hit the ground, I think, or at least now sometime nuclear things hit. How does that affect the pilot? Would that have any effect on the pilot per se? But I know it would obviously affect everybody on the ground level. So if you can kind of explain that a little, if there's a way that you can even go into that, would a pilot be getting hit by radioactive material at all, or not really?
So if it was a pilot who was flying a nuclear weapon, they
Yeah.
certainly would, just because the dose is so large from something like that.
Yeah.
In fact, from the Chernobyl series you were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
every pilot that
Mhm.
flew over to dump water to help cool it off so it didn't go critical again.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't remember if they showed it, but all of those pilots died almost immediately.
Oh wow, I
Um,
didn't
Yeah.
know.
yeah. If I'm remembering correctly, I think there's a scene where they show the planes just kind of like crashing afterward because the
Yeah.
pilot died
Uh-huh.
almost instantaneously from exposure.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't figure out. I
Wow.
know what like they had the helicopter. I didn't know if that meant. I'm glad you said that, Ag, because I didn't know if it meant that the pilot was just. They didn't explain. I don't think they
Mhm.
explained that well. But I know that like the
Yeah, I think
helicopters
you
would
were
break
supposed
apart.
to. Yeah. Yep,
Right.
that's
Wow.
because the pilot could no longer operate.
Okay. Oh wow. Wow.
Yep.
Thanks for explaining that to me. And then, Mom, what was that? Listen, we watched one more series. We almost had a nuclear meltdown here in was it Pennsylvania, Mom?
Yeah, up in it's a three mobile. I think what's it's yes, Pennsylvania. I think in a little island there in Pennsylvania when they had it almost had the meltdown. They
In
were
the
like 30
'80s.
minutes from that happening. It's something recent that came on TV. I can't remember the exact name of the show, but it was on the edge of Pennsylvania. The whole thing, and that brings back another concern is that when they are building these nuclear plants
Ooh.
and something happens like it did in Chernobyl in Russia, what it's taken them years and years before people can go back into that area. Why is that? And how can you, if they're thinking about doing these type of nuclear plants, avoid that kind of thing? Can you avoid it? Because you explain that to us if you don't mind, Alyssa.
Absolutely. So the way that the nuclear energy process works is through fission.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that uranium and plutonium are so well known is because they have isotopes that are very, very good at fission. So
Mm-hmm.
plutonium-239 is going to be, we call it the fissile isotope. It can undergo fission. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially what that means is when a neutron comes near it, it can absorb it and then break apart into smaller pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Uranium, so there's naturally occurring uranium in the earth. There's
Mm-hmm.
two isotopes that are predominantly in the earth's crust. We have uranium-235 and 238.
Mm-hmm.
235 is the fissile isotope that can create energy essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is we call it enriching. We increase the percentage of uranium-235 so that we
Mm-hmm.
can create energy with it. So you can almost
Mm-hmm.
imagine it as like a cascade effect. So
Okay.
if you have one uranium-235 here and another one here, when this atom fissions and breaks apart, it releases a bunch of neutrons, let's say three. So if there's only one other uranium-235 atom nearby, that neutron will hit it and then that will fission. And you can kind of think of like a one at a time, even though it's making three, because there's so much other uranium-238 that doesn't do anything with those other two neutrons per
Mm-hmm.
fission.
Mm-hmm.
When we increase the concentration or percentage of our uranium-235, we increase the probability that that neutron will find another fission isotope of 235.
Mm-hmm.
So for the weapons grade version, there's a super high enrichment amount of 235. For our nuclear energy, it's below that.
Okay.
So much less 235. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
much more controlled fission environment. Whereas the weapons, it's kind of uncontrolled and it all releases at once.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
you can imagine if it was like pure 235 uranium, you would have one fission that would create three fissions and then nine, and it kind of exponentially explodes.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow.
And
Oh.
Mhm.
so environment or the for instance they can't return it's over 100 years it's been whatever how long it's been they had to evacuate they could not return back for a period of time so when that happens you're talking about contamination whereby a whole state could be contaminated and you'd never be able to go back into that area for how many years could that be
Oh,
time.
I don't have a year off the top of my head, but there are various isotopes that are predominantly created during fission. So like
Mhm,
strontium-90,
mhm,
cesium-137, those are going to
mhm,
be the most dangerous things that
mhm,
come out, and they are
uh-huh,
fairly short-lived. So it would be several hundred years before coming back. But for nuclear energy, if you remember in Chernobyl, they talked about the
mhm,
rods, the
Yeah.
mhm.
control rods.
Yes.
So those are rods that kind of limit how much neutrons are going by because
Yeah.
you want a steady energy, right?
Yeah.
So if you start with the perfect amount, it won't last very long. So you want to start with a little more enrichment of your 235 and block off some of the interaction.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
so
Tell it.
as you deplete your uranium 235, you raise the rod so that more can interact. And you want to do that in a very controlled manner so that you get good steady energy. I promise you technology has evolved since the Chernobyl accident to
Yeah.
where that could never happen again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you remember the beginning of the show, some of their fail safes completely failed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that one guy who was like, no, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And the other two guys were like, no, we need to stop. Like, we need to listen to people like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
got
now
it.
there are controls in place to where that essentially could never happen.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Man, listen, I just had to say this real. I'm gonna interject this one thing, and I promise to get right back on track. Have you ever seen the movie My Cousin Vinny?
I have not.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm gonna break
Okay,
this down
that's
to
my
you.
homework.
Yes, please do. And when you watch it, you remind me of Marissa Tomei because there's a scene in the
Okay.
movie where he calls her in to be like a witness, and she breaks it down just like you have broken down this today.
Oh,
And like you are amazing and smart. Like I'm over here like, damn, this girl really knows her stuff. Like so, you just whenever you watch My Cousin Vinny, it's a phenomenal movie. You reminded me of Marissa Tomei with everything you've just broken down there. So I just wanted to interject that for a second. Mom, I have another question. You're welcome.
Go ahead. Ask the other question.
AG, how is AI now playing impact in this, or not really? Because I feel like you still have to know what you're doing. But how is AI going to play an effect with all this, right? Or how do you feel it's playing an effect?
So a lot of what we do is kind of more singular data points, if that makes sense. I think it's affecting analytical chemistry aggressively. So for analytical chemistry, you'll take a lot of different sample points and then someone will manually work them up. AI is evolving analytical chemistry so quickly, and it's so exciting to be able to do chemistry more rapidly in that way.
Really?
The first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is teaching undergrad students and trying to make sure they're not cheating.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Seriously, explain that
yeah,
even. That's got to be something.
yeah. So, yeah, you hear stories all the time about in these large classes, a small group of students will have the exact same response to something
Oh
that is like
wow.
clearly chat GPT
Yeah.
flavored. That's kind of the ugly side of AI is that you really can't abuse it, and that makes me sad. But I
Yeah.
also think that there's something really exciting about like the chat GPT AI world,
Yeah.
because you can make your own chat GPT. I learned this recently,
Mm-hmm.
and students can like upload the textbook into their own chat GPT and have it turn like a podcast, like make a podcast for chapter one. And then you
Really?
can listen, yeah, in like a podcast type way
Yeah.
to science. And you can kind of make your own teaching assistant that way, and verify what you think you're learning with chat GPT and AI.
Okay.
So I think it's a powerful tool. And I think if students use it to help them learn as opposed to do their
Doing
homework
all the
for
work.
them,
Yeah.
it can be really, really awesome. It just puts a lot of accountability on 20-something-year-olds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. My only worry, I guess, concern is even with doctors and all that kind of stuff is the fact that
Mhm.
I feel like you still need to know how to do the things basic, like the basics of it, because that's how I feel like mistakes can happen. If you know, John from ChatGPT says, "Hey, do this," and you blow up something or cause something to happen, I mean, this is Terminator 2 pretty much in a nutshell.
Right? Yeah, I think there's a lot of responsibility and accountability around ChatGPT and AI. And I think as professors, we're still trying to learn the best way to help students
Mhm.
through this time in the best way.
Oh,
Okay.
good. So when the schools start, do they still give a syllabus for freshmen in a class? And if they do you now include having a discussion? For instance, when does the semester start for your students? And then do you have this open, honest conversation with them about what your expectations will be when it comes to using AI in any of those materials?
Oh, absolutely. I know that I do. I'm not certain if every other professor does. I believe most people have a line in their syllabus about AI. And I
Uh-huh.
kind of tell them exactly what I just told you of like, look,
Mm-hmm.
I know you can use this to cheat and get around the system. At the end of the day, that only hurts you. I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of powerful, positive things with the AI world that they are all smart enough to harness.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Mom. You're good.
Well, one final, well, it's not a final question, but the question I have, and you can ask us anything you would like, Alyssa, but I noticed that they talk about iodine, using the use of iodine with exposure to radioactive materials. Can you kind of explain to our audience why they sometimes talk about taking iodine pills for that type of thing?
Absolutely. So, are you mostly referring to the Chernobyl moment from the series?
Yeah, that moment, and
Okay.
then I've heard it in my life. I've heard that in some of my education.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit
Perfect.
about that.
1000%. So, there are a few elements on the periodic table that exist as a diatomic. So, what is air mostly made out of?
CO2. Wait, it's carbon. I'm failing here. What is it?
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
So
thank
it's
you.
mostly
You let me
nitrogen.
fail here. You got me.
I'm so sorry.
It was
So it's
nitrogen and
mostly
go ahead.
yes.
Thank
No,
you.
no, you were there. Do it. You got it. You got it.
I was gonna say, like, isn't part of it nitrogen, and then the other part would be I would say
Us,
CO2, but that's probably wrong.
Oxygen.
the oxygen, Brandon.
Yes.
Okay.
So nitrogen and oxygen exist as diatomic gases. So it's N2 and O2.
Mm-hmm.
Iodine is the same. So it exists as I2 as a gas. So
Okay.
when Chernobyl went off, pretty much the actinides like uranium and plutonium, when they fission, they
Mm-hmm.
make every element on the periodic table essentially, or every isotope. And one of the main things that it creates is in the iodine region of the periodic table. So there is a lot of radioactive iodine that was produced. And since it can exist in a gaseous form, it becomes dangerous to be breathing near a nuclear explosion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Iodine predominantly goes to your thyroid. So
Mm-hmm.
iodine 131 is used to treat thyroid cancer. So again, this is like building up
Oh,
the
okay.
library of radioactive isotopes we can use for treating cancers.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason the person called their friend and said, you need to take an iodine pill right now is
Mm-hmm.
because if you take an iodine pill, natural non-radioactive iodine will saturate your thyroid, and then if
Ooh,
you were to breathe in the radioactive iodine, your thyroid's already full of iodine, so you'll just excrete it
that's true.
essentially and pee it out, the
Oh,
radioactive
oh,
one.
oh,
Okay.
okay.
Wow.
Hmm.
I'm never gonna live that down. I'm still, if my ears could turn red or I could turn red right now, I'd be red from the
Oh, you're
question.
perfect.
Uh, AG, I had a question for you, and this would be kind of my final question. First off, you've been absolutely wonderful today,
Mm.
and I
Mm.
appreciate you for taking your time out of your busy day to come on. It means the world to me. What would you tell your 18-year-old self? I guess what
Oh,
would you tell your
okay.
18-year-old self, pretty much right now, where you are right now, going back, what would you tell your 18-year-old self, either
Yeah.
about life or about where you're going to be or what it is?
Don't give up. Trust the process, and wherever you go, and this goes for everyone, always, everywhere, you will always be able to find other people that support you, and you'll always find some people who aren't super supportive.
Yeah,
It's just the like harsh reality of the world, and you get to decide who you spend your time with and who you let into your own echo chamber. And believe in yourself and
Mm-hmm.
find the people that lift you up and make you happy and excited about life and lean into them, pour into them. We all have bad days. Not everyone's going to be nice all the time. So
yeah,
give the like haters and like a little love too,
yeah.
but surround yourself with the good people like you be. You've always been exceptional. Like I
Thank
love
you.
that you're a part of my life.
I am very happy that I'm lucky to be part of yours. Let me say that because I love you. You know, you're a good person. I love your answer. You're so right, and like you're such a good person too. You've worked hard since I talked to you on the stairwell that one time. You told me about what you were going to do in life, and I'm so proud of you to see that you have accomplished that and can to accomplish that. And not just that, you're making a difference in the world that you're in, and then you're making a difference to the students that you teach. So I am beyond proud of you. I also want to hit one more thing because I almost forgot. And I might say it again wrong, but you at one point were a yogi, like a yoga instructor. Would you tell us about that? An aerialist or just.
Yes. So I taught both mat and hammock yoga. So the silk, that's a hammock, not the split silk. Those people are way too badass for me.
Okay.
Yeah. But during undergrad, I started doing some yoga and continued doing it in grad school and loved it so much that I wanted to start teaching it and really found like a great niche of people and supportive humans in my life.
Okay.
And just kind of poured into that. And throughout my graduate school and my postdoc experience, I taught 6 a.m. power hour pretty much every morning.
Okay. Do you find that was therapy for people, or like just what is it that I guess centers people? I don't know. What is your feeling that you get from it?
For sure. So if you've never cried in pigeon pose, like you need to go do that. It's
I tried enough stuff.
absolutely
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, it allowed me to pour into people and kind of help them grow. And it was always, I mean, it wasn't surprising because I had that same experience as a student, but having people come up to you after a class and be like, look, I've been going through this really hard time in my life the past like month or two or whatever. And like just coming to your class has completely changed my life. And putting adults into plank pose and telling them to love themselves apparently does it.
Okay.
The only thing I know is the dogwood down.
Yeah, I know that one too.
Yes, get it, Mama Rush. But yeah, I mean, that community for me, that uplifting, supportive space was in yoga, and maybe it's something different for you, you know, just finding like a safe space. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at home or where it intuitively goes. Like some of my students now do a lot of art. They paint all sorts of things.
Okay.
And that's kind of their space to recenter. There's a lot that goes on with yoga, like you can deep dive into the science of it, opening your muscles and things like that, that I found very interesting, especially as a scientist.
Okay.
And deep diving into that side of things with teacher training and becoming a teacher was really exciting.
Yeah.
But really, mostly it's about the community.
Awesome. And then final thing, sorry, I know I keep hitting the final. This is a real final. Are you still might be botanist or plant thumb, green thumb? You still doing the plant thing?
Yeah, I still have a lot of plants.
Okay.
During COVID, I started having to teach yoga on Zoom, which was just not as fulfilling. And I really wanted to like grow and help develop something. So I ended up buying a lot of plants.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I have a herbal garden. I love plants too. And I like to plant, I'm sorry, herbs. I love my herbal garden. But when I used to have a yard out, I would do my little garden out there for everything. So it's just therapy for me, and I love it. Tell me one thing about your family. Do you have your parents live in Michigan? Are you from Michigan? Do you have siblings or
You're
that
from California, Mama. I'm sorry.
you're from
so
California.
I am from California, around the Los Angeles area. My mom actually did follow me here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she lives in Michigan now.
Oh, and so completely gone from California. Okay.
That beautiful weather to all that cold.
I know. It is gorgeous here in the fall, though.
It really is.
It is beautiful. I love Michigan.
Yeah, seasons are cool. No one told me.
Yeah, it's a lot of green too. A lot of green in Michigan.
Yes. Yeah, we're in the like hot summer portion of actually, no joke, summer in Michigan reminds me of Florida.
Really? Oh, it's humid too.
Oh yeah, it is wet.
Oh wow, I never would have thought that.
Me neither.
Yeah, learning something new every day.
Well, you had to change your wardrobe. You had to get a whole bunch of
Girl, we are still working on it.
How long have you been in Michigan?
I have survived 3 winters now.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest surprise for you might have been when you had to first go to work in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to maneuver that whole part of it. I'm familiar with Michigan a little bit. My dad went to Wayne State University. He got his master's from there in engineering. And so I just am always thinking about how cold it gets there in the snow and everything. But that's interesting. You have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother. He's still at home with my mom.
Oh, well,
nice.
That's great. That's great.
Well, go ahead, Mom.
Well, I want to tell you, Alyssa, I thank you so much because what you do is so fascinating and how it is going to continue to change this world. And you're making such deep dives into research and developing such wonderful things that will impact people's health in a very positive way with the diseases that they might have. I love that idea and how it's going to help maybe our environment. And I just look to see and hear from more things you plan to do in the future moving forward when we have you back on the Buckle Up podcast universe. And so with 12 million, 12, how many people watching right now?
12.5 million in 35 countries and 390 cities, sorry, around the world. So I'm glad they're going to get to hear your story because you're going to inspire a lot of people, AG.
This really is
inspiration. And thank you for
both.
Yeah, no, anytime. I said I appreciate you. I said my spiel about you already, but you've been absolutely wonderful today. You are the Marissa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny. That is your homework, is to watch that movie. And when he calls her in at the end of that judge scene, you'll understand what I'm saying. But AG, thank you so much. At the end, we always give everyone a round of applause. You won't be able to see my mom clapping, but you'll be able to hear it. But I'm going to clap on my end. So thank you so much, AG. You've been wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you again.
Thank you, and nice meeting you.
Likewise. I hope y'all have the best day.
You too. You have a wonderful day too, AG. You take care.
Too. Thank you.
Right. Bye, my dear. She was awesome.
Excellent. Outstanding.
What button is it? Is this one stop recording?